I met Harley Weidlich about 18 years ago, and the first time I met him was through 3 inches of glass. I just went and was trying to be as transparent as possible, and one of the very first things I said to him was I was just a couple bad decisions away from being where he was. I just immediately felt a kinship. We developed a friendship, and Harley Weidlich is one of the finest examples of God's transformation power. He is one of my dearest friends, and I can't think about his journey without getting emotional, because God has done an amazing thing in his life.
I was born in February 4th, 1979. My father was in the Hells Angels, and my mother was a heroin addict. I grew up in a pretty radical environment. My father got killed when I was 9 on a cocaine deal in Florida. My mother's drug abuse only spiraled out of control from that point. And both of my uncles were in and out of prison for drug trafficking, and I quickly picked up the family business. I really didn't know any other life, so it just become a way to pay the bills. So at 16 years old, I had my own house, a couple cars, motorcycle. I had mom living with me, paying all the bills. You know, that lifestyle quickly leads to a road to nowhere. And so all the partying and all the drugs quickly started as fun and quickly took my life over and spun me into my own addiction, and in and out of jail, in and out of juvie. 17 years old, my wife's pregnant with our first son, and someone gave me a New Testament. And my wife grew up in the church, and when they say opposites attract, that's me and my wife. So when I told her I got a New Testament, she started walking me through it in that stint that I did in juvie. And so I read the New Testament front to back twice and didn't really understand any of it. But something kept drawing me back. I get out and quickly go back to the same thing, and that routine lasted for many years of incarcerated, not incarcerated. My aunt was in the Doylestown Church of the Nazarene, and we started going to service with her during my stints of trying to get my life together. And every time I'd get clean, I'd do well, something kept pulling me back to church. The last time I was incarcerated, a pastor come to visit me. And I always looked at pastors like they were different, like they were some higher power. And there was a conversation with a pastor that he told me that he was just a couple bad decisions from being where I was at. And I think then it kind of hit me. I kind of realized that, wow, you know, they're just human beings like me. I'm in prison and I get a packet in the mail, some legal papers. It's my wife filing for divorce. So I come home and I get back into church, and I never looked back. You know, God changed my life forever from that day on. Never used another drug, never smoked cigarettes again, never looked back. Someone asked me about an upward sports program, if I'd be interested in leading an upward sports program. And immediately, you know, I was, oh, who, me? No, I can't do that. And they got me to go to Pittsburgh for an upward training seminar, and I agreed. And the rest is history. I ran upward sports for 10 years. And then my president now, missions trips, trip coordinator, and life is great. And I never got divorced. And fortunately, my kids are young enough that they don't remember the father that was in prison and on drugs. They were too young to to remember any of that. God is everything to me. It's a daily thing. Every day, I have to wake up and ask God, okay, let's do this, one more day. So without God, I wouldn't be sitting here. I should have died many a times in my life. I've overdosed many a times. There's many situations I've been shot at. I've been all the good horror stories that you hear from people. I've been there and done that, and they didn't even, 4 of my siblings didn't make it. I wasn't supposed to make it, but obviously God had a different plan for my life.